Yeah.
It's ready.
Okay, so it's going?
Yeah.
Okay. We can splice those together. An iMovie. Okay, so where were we? So where were we in? So we've gone through the reminder sequence, right? And then they come to the webinar. The webinar, let's talk about the webinar a little bit. So the webinar I've got broken down. I'm trying to think how I can best present this. I break the webinar down into three parts. The first part is like really focusing on the problem. The second part is focusing on the solution on the level of what they need to do, not how they need to do it, meaning like really, so in the first segment, really getting them to recognize, their problems and the implications of their problems and feel that pain as much as possible. And then during the what do you do to solve this problem, it's all about Hubbli. But it's about solving the problems. I'm consistently telling them, like, this is just Hubbli's way of solving the problem. There's other ways of doing it. I even mention like competing products, like that are not directly competing, but like other solutions. Like with us, we're this all-in-one communication platform. So the real value of Hubbli is they get everything they need out of the box without having to like patch together all these other tools, right? So that's really the value of Hubbli. So I'm showing them each one of those types of tools all through the Hubbli system, so they're kind of getting that understanding of our value proposition of this all-in-one system. So I'm like, this is how Facebook would do it, and this is how Hubbli does it, and Facebook would be like this, and or Twitter or whatever, and then this is how Hubbli does it, and like Constant Contact or MailChimp would act like this. So I'm giving references to tools that they actually know about, but don't really know how to use and put together. So it's obviously very geared to my audience as far as like what the content is, but the point is that at that phase, you need to be really focusing on what the solution is, and then at the end, that's when you start actually pitching something. So what we've done is rather than pitch, so basically we've come to understand like we can't get customers to purchase or become our software customers like from a webinar because of the decision-making process of our customer base, right? So they make a decision by committee. And so it's like we had this particular challenge. What we were doing before this was we would use Facebook ads, have them come to our website, they would sign up for a demo of Hubbli, and so we were just booking one-to-one demos, right? Which is like obviously way less efficient than a webinar. So, so I've been working on this for a while, trying to figure out how to, make the same sales with way less effort. So, and actually the result has been 100% more sales with a quarter of the effort. So, so what we're doing is like rather than just pitching like a demo of our software and then getting into this like lengthy decision-making process, it's like pitch this like masterclass to about a problem that they have. They learn something, and then by teaching it to them, via Hubbli, the examples of Hubbli, they're seeing us as like experts in the field, right? We're teaching them things. We're kind of like raising the mirror up in front of their head and showing them that they have their hair's on fire. They don't really know so much that they have these. Like they know they have a problem. They don't know exactly what it is. Now we're showing them this is exactly what your problem is.
They're not able to articulate.
Yeah, they can't articulate it. So we're literally like very specifically articulating the problems that we know they have. Mm-hmm. They know they have them. They agree that they have them. We know this because I've been doing demos with these people for years.
Right.
Like, and I know exactly how to word it and like. Every time I do the demo, there's never been like any kind of disagreement. Like, yeah, that's our problem. The question is like, we have no idea how. Do we think we can solve it? Like, do we think it's solvable? And like, how do we even go about it? That's where they're at. Like, they just don't think there's a solution. So it's like, okay, here's a solution. They're like, wow. And then So taking that information and, so it is really important to go through a phase of just straight sales with your market, because you need to learn your market. You need to learn the language. You need to learn if they, what they do recognize, what they don't recognize. So I don't think our webinars would be as successful as they are if I hadn't gone through that process, which I think is really important. So that allowed me to build a webinar that really addressed them, and then so strategically, how do we move them from webinar to customer? Okay, and that's been the real challenge, because we know we can't just sell Hubbli. We don't want to do the webinars and then start doing one-to-one demos, because that doesn't solve anything. I mean, they're hotter leads and they're more qualified, of course, by the time they do a demo, so it is better in that sense. What we first started doing, we've tried a few different things. I've been hosting webinars, so I've been a co-presenter with a few different school organizations where I come in and talk about this stuff. It's not hosted by me. It's not my presentation. I'm just going and talking about it, like different topics. And I've been offering, so I've been doing that for the last year, and offering free assessments. Anybody here is interested in a free assessment on what we're talking about to see specifically what your school needs. So free assessments really turns into a demo, and they have been better leads than just Facebook signups. But it's still very much a one-to-one demo process. The next thing I tried, the next thing I tried was trying to come up with an actual purchase that they could buy in the webinar. It can't be Hubbli, because they're just not going to do that. They won't make that decision. It's too big of a decision to make in a webinar. So we have to find something that's like a middle step, that's a related purchase. So the goal was to find something that they would buy in the webinar, something that would make them more likely to become a Hubbli customer. And so the first thing we tried was a course. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to, sell them from the webinar. So what I started pitching in the last third of the webinar was like a course on this topic. So it's like, you've learned a lot here, but this is a really big topic, and we need to dig into each one of these topics much deeper. So we're gonna sell you on this parent communication mastery course, right?
And that was delivered through you. Through Hubbli.
Yeah. Well, it was delivered. Yeah. Well, it was. Yes.
It's not like a third party.
No. It's presented by Hubbli. We write it. We deliver it. We were doing it actually in conjunction with the International Montessori Foundation. So it had that kind of credibility, exactly. But it was, there was interest in that. And really, but it didn't get sales inside. It was just too big and too much of a commitment.
So you were able to sell the course, but still not go towards making them customers? Or
my goal was to get them to become customers of Hubbli inside the webinar. So that didn't happen. So it was very much almost like, it was less, but it was similar to a demo process. It was a big decision for them to make. It wasn't something that they could just click and buy and say yes to and buy and put their credit card in. So what I came up with then was, I was like, those free assessments were working. What if we just sell them at a really low ticket price? So now what we're doing is pitching this one-on-one, what I call the parent communication report card. It's just an assessment basically, and that they are actually purchasing during the webinar. An offer comes down, Webinar Jam has this tool, you can just drop an offer, with the timer and all those little tricks in it, click, and it takes them right to...
With a timer, right?
Yeah. You can turn it on or off. It works. It's 15 minutes, because it's a timed event.
Through the webinar?
Yeah, they're watching the webinar, and then I say, okay, so
it's built into...
Yeah, it's built into Webinar Jam. You can, and it'll drop down, and even in the Ever webinar. It's remarkable. Yeah. So when I was trying those Ever webinar things, I was like, come on, I was watching my email inbox, come on, I want to see some purchases here, but it never worked out. So
they didn't bite, eh?
They didn't even get there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they didn't even get to that section. So I have to see what the difference is, but whatever. I think it's actually just a technical issue. It's I was before the webinars actually started. I actually started, like I clicked start on the webinar, and the recording would go, and then I would do that like 10 minutes before, and I would be like just, hey everybody, I'd have like music in the background. I'd be like, hey everybody, this is what we're gonna talk about. Thanks for coming in. We're just gonna get started in a few minutes, and We got John with us today, and just kind of getting them ready, trying to feel like high energy, trying to get them excited for the webinar. So the problem is that that's when the ever webinar would start, and so it really pushed the time out, and we're seeing big drop off after the hour mark.
Right.
So that's one of the big issues I need to solve, is like getting everything, like the pitch included, inside of an hour.
Oh, wow.
So the ever webinar got pushed way beyond that, so like everyone's dropping off after that hour. But the great thing is everyone's staying for the hour, so it's like they're highly engaged. That's the great thing. And then if there's a clear very dramatic drop off from like 50 people to like 8 over the next like 2 minutes, because everyone's like, oh, that's my lunch break, gotta go, and they got the lesson. It's like, so they just missed the pitch.
Is there a good time of the day or?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because we're obviously marketing to people all over, right? So, and it makes me think like maybe we should target like time zones, because you can. But what I've been doing is 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern, because that's it's a decent time. Again, we're really trying to target our decision makers. So the people that can take 1 o'clock off, like the school director, they're not in the classroom, or they can book around it or whatever. Also, we've gotten feedback from our customers, because we do like a weekly members coaching webinar every Friday at 1. We used to do it at 12, and then a lot of our West Coast people were saying like, we can't do 9 o'clock, we need it 10 o'clock, so we moved it to 1 o'clock. So I've been using that as a guide for the West Coast folks. This Thursday I'm going to try it at noon, just to see.
And you usually do it on Thursdays?
Yeah, I do that. I've done it on Wednesdays. I haven't seen, as far as like engagement or anything, much difference between Wednesday or Thursday. The reason why I do Thursday is because I do a lot of webinars with the Montessori Foundation, and they do it Wednesdays. So I try not to conflict with them. So I'm available for them, and we don't compete, because they actually help us a lot. We're kind of partnered with them. So what's happening is, if they click on the offer, they go to the shopping cart inside Infusionsoft, and
that's usually at the end, you said, right? Near the end.
Yeah. So what happens is, after, so I'm trying to target for like the last 10 minutes, right? And I stop and I ask for permission to sell them, something, and I wait until they say yes. So if you watch any of my previous webinars, people say yes. Like, I wait until I get a yes. I don't just go into it. And I got that from from one of these like webinar experts. That's it just says like they found like they got a much better response from doing that.
What if no one says yes?
Well, it hasn't happened,
Okay.
but yeah, I mean, but it could happen. I guess.
How do you like word that though? Like, can I give you an offer or something? Like,
Well,
are you interested in an offer?
so I start. I could show you. I could share recordings of it. Like, you could see, I can even send you my script and everything. I'm happy to.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious, like, because I think when we did it, we were just like way too pushy.
Yeah. So I'm pretty salesy right now. Like, I'm not holding back.
Yeah.
But I think the most important thing is that, like, for a while you are just digging in on the value. Like, you are really teaching them something that they need. And I think that's one of the, I think that's the most important thing. Like, they have to really be blown away by the content,
And then what's the cost of the assessment that you're selling? Like,
interestingly, I started selling it at $97. So it's $97. Now my whole pitch is like a stacked. Why don't I pull it up for a second, because this is like a really strategic thing here.
$49.
So this is the last one I did. Okay, right on the money. So let me just talk through the sales part. Okay.
I think I saw this on your blog.
Yeah. So what I do is I start. Where do I start pitching? I start pitching right here. I kind of start warming up to the pitch here, and I'm going to actually start working on this. I think the feedback I'm getting is this stuff is a little too like canned salesy. So I'm going to start maybe cutting this down a bit. But then when I get here, I'm like, okay, well, you've got two options, right? So here's all this information. I don't know why you're here today, but you probably want A, B, and C results. And so you've got two options. You could go the complicated route, figure it all out yourself, or you could go the simple route, right? And so that's when I'm like, so the obvious question is, how do I make all this work easily and quickly? And this is where I start pitching the parent communication. So I asked them at this point, I'm like, so I'm going to tell you about this thing that we're offering, but before I do so, I want to get your permission. So do I have your permission to tell you about this offer? And I wait. And they say yes, yes, yes. And then I'm like, okay, the Hubbli parent communication card, blah, 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 blah. What are you going to get? So now, and I go into like, and this also, by the way, like from the webinar before this to this one, I've added a few slides because I got more feedback, because we saw the questions that were coming in before people were purchasing. They were asking like, what exactly do I get? What kind of like, they need to see, what does it look like? What does it feel like? What's it going to be like? So I started creating slides of, this is what you're going to get. So here's where I'm selling. This is important, check this out. So this is where I'm selling like the actual experience. Like this is visually here, now you understand what you're going to get. You're going to get a live one-on-one assessment with me, like with me personally.
Wow.
We're going to dig into your website.
And that's like you're trying to sell something bigger during that assessment, right?
Well, yes and no. So I'll talk about how I use that assessment.
Yeah.
So we give them a report on their website. There's a free tool. I forget who put this out there. It might be HubSpot even. It's like website grader.
Yeah.
So we just use that as part of our assessment, and it's an unbranded like.
That's awesome.
It's amazing, and it gives them like really like, and they're just like, oh my god, like
they're not like
I
digital
gotta-
folks, so they probably don't
No.
know
That's what
about
you
it,
meant by
right?
SEO, because I saw that and I was like, what, you do SEO assessments?
Yeah, it's like, and then we say we're going to give you this action list. Like for everything, you can do this, this, and this, and it's custom tailored to your. So you've learned what you need to do in general from the webinar. Now learn what your specific school needs, right? So that's what the assessment's about.
When you say one-on-one assessment with you, like actual FaceTime with you in addition
Yes.
to that? Okay.
Yeah, because that is
That's
where
your sales.
98% of the time I've turned them into a Hubbli customer now. So, and we'll talk about why that's working so well. And then the other thing we do is we take them through this like ROI calculator, which is a spreadsheet. It's just a Google sheet. We just we plug in their numbers and we show them, okay, this is exactly what you need. You're using these tools. You've got this many students and this many teachers, and you're using this much paper. And these are like this is how much you could literally save. Assuming that you improve these things by 10%, and these improve these by 10%. It's all based on a 10% improvement on all these metrics. You're going to end up over 2 years, increasing $300,000 in your net. And they're just like, our market has never thought of anything like this. Ever. And that's why this works so well for us, like this particular approach. This is just right? And this is like something we do in our demos. Like our demos are an assessment, like part of it, right? And that's how we sell. We offer them value through our process, like something that they can take away and go do with another like tool or consultant if they wanted to. And then and then I start talking about like what does this actually cost. So this is where I start really stacking the value. Okay, so like this is it's funny, like I'm putting it like there's a lot of thought into this to sell this $97 thing, but that's what it takes to have like a result. So it's not just it's $97, see you later. It's okay, so what do you get? Like we actually, so I tell them that assessment's actually valued at $498. And if you do sign up, you can actually, as a bonus, you can get Hubbli for 50% off, or you can get our setup for 50% off, and you can get 1 free month of the subscription. So that's a total value of $26.96. Your investment today is only $97. What is it? So again, stacking the value, showing them things, and I use the button to like literally stack it visually, like bing, like they show up, as an animation on every click. And then so today you spend $97 only, and you get a full savings of $1,400. And then get started today. And I also offer a 100% money back guarantee plus $25. So if they do the assessment and they're not happy with it, we'll give them every penny back and pay them $25 for their time.
Wow. Has anyone called
No.
you out on that?
No,
Okay.
never. It just gets the sales happening. It removes that one thing. Like every single sales decision anybody makes, whether it's like a 2-second decision click on a website or it's a 3-month like enterprise sale, everyone goes through the same mental process. This is taking them through that process.
But
That's
on
what
your
this is
terms,
about.
basically.
Yeah,
Take them through that process, but on your terms.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what every sales process is for every company. You have to take people. You have to handle all the different psychological steps that, like, it's a mental model that people go through when they make this decision. And the size of the sale or decision, really it's about the size of the decision, determines how long this process needs to be. So we're breaking them down, not breaking them down, we're breaking that model down, actually for Hubbli at like different phases even, right? And that's why this purchase of $97 is having such a drastic effect on our software sales, because think about what that means mentally for somebody. We're past that barrier. They've pulled out their credit card and given us money, and they've scheduled something. So to take it again one step further, to go back to the strategy, the funnel here. So there's a couple of really important elements still. So over here there's like a standard follow-up that if they attended or missed it, they get some more automation that brings them back to watch the replay. And I have had people miss the webinar, watch the replay, and sign up, purchase the assessment. And I was like really excited when that happened, because that just happened completely. I was like sleeping and it happened, right? So it was like amazing. And they became a Hubbli customer. It's magic. So after that phase, so they get so if they attended and didn't buy, there's another email sequence that pushes them to still go buy it, right? So that's why that person purchased when I wasn't even aware, because I have 3 emails that go to them selling, right? So each one of these sequences takes some time. Like you got these are all long emails.
What time frame are you breaking them over? Is it like over a week or over like every couple days?
Yeah, so every couple days. Yeah. And then so when they do purchase it, right, then we push them to fill out a questionnaire, a survey. So we want them to give us more information before. There's 2 things about that survey that are really important, okay? Number 1, in that survey, we're asking them, I'll just show you the survey. Where is
I just want
it?
to highlight everyone is 10 o'clock.
Yeah, okay. So we'll just talk about the survey for a second. So what the survey does is it asks them a bunch of questions like, how important is it to you? Between 1 and 5, it's a bunch of Likert questions. Between 1 and 5, how important is it to you to reduce your staff workload, or to increase enrollment, or to like a bunch of things that, again, these are all the value points. So we're getting them to identify how important those main value points of Hubbli are, right? All the reasons why they came to the webinar, all the reasons why they're doing the assessment, all the reasons why they're going to buy Hubbli, we're getting them to focus on those results that they want, and to actually put a number value down, which is really helpful, because if they're like 4 on this and 5 on that, then we have something to talk about. Why is this more important than that one to you, right? And then also we ask, are you interested in the 50% discount on Hubbli? Right? So again, and they always say yes. So we're prepping them for that pitch as well. So we've talked about it in the webinar, we're talking about it in the questionnaire, and then they show up for the assessment. And what do I do in the assessment? I say, okay, so I'm looking at the thing and I'm like, okay, so this is like the close on Hubbli. I'm like, so you've identified that you're you want the discount on Hubbli. So I just want to let you know that that's available just today. So the assessment we can do anytime, but the discount on Hubbli is only available to today. So did you want to talk about that, figure that out, and then if yes or no, then if you go with Hubbli, you're going to get the assessment times 50 during our onboarding. So we'll just include what you've spent inside we'll just reduce that from your setup. So you're not losing anything, and they're going to get more. And then if they say, so they always say yes, basically. So I don't even do the assessment. I've done the assessment twice, and
It's
each
just
time,
bundled into your onboarding, basically.
yeah, they get more of that information through our onboarding, anyways. So so the point is that the assessment and everything up to it just really. Now I have done the assessment because they said, well, first I really would like the assessment. So great, so we do the assessment, and then they become a Hubbli customer after the assessment. And it just puts you in at that point they're just doing it because they feel like they spent $97 and they just want it to be an honest thing. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, of course we'll do it, and we do it, and it is ready. And I did spend time building it like it is an actual standalone value offering that like is there. But usually we just skip right past it and they become a Hubbli customer.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Thanks a lot.
Cool.
Very, very
Thanks,
informative.
man.
Do you want me to stitch do you want to just off the video?
Yeah.
I'll chat with you for
I'll
2
off
minutes.
it.
Is
Sure.
there